Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Nutkin Farm. Looks peaceful now, but this morning in late October 21 is the morning after a fairly large thunderstorm, which thankfully didn't involve hail or any nasty winds, but brought about 20 mils of rain to the Rosebank area at least. And this is the morning after, and sort of taking a look around the place. The soil's damp, but we're still in that sort of zone where after the dry spring, the soil can soak up an enormous amount of moisture that it's been waiting for. And, and no real sign of any runoff or water sitting around on top of the ground like you'll get in the key months of January, February, March, where the average rainfall gets up over 200 millimetres per month, and that's a heavy dousing. Anyway, I came to show you a new toy, and unfortunately I'm not going to get the chance to show you this one in operation. What we're coming up to here is my contractor's faithful Antonio Carraro tractor. Maybe they wouldn't agree with me with the description of it being faithful, because they've just had to spend about $5,000 getting its clutch done. And as bad luck comes in twos, my own Antonio Carraro tractor also needs its clutch done. So, as with a lot of farm machinery, you do put your hand in your pocket. This isn't a big tractor, but believe it or not, it's 110 horsepower. So most of the tractor is this engine up the front, and it has a nice low centre of gravity. Carraros are a blessing and a curse. They're sort of renowned as one of the best orchard tractors you can get because they're fairly low to the ground and they can work in tight spaces, and they have immense ability to work on difficult terrain with those tyres you see. This particular tractor had the harvester mounted to it, so before the clutch had to get done. And unfortunately, when you have to get clutches done on tractors and you've got custom machinery mounted to the tractor, it becomes a bit expensive to remove all that custom machinery, because you literally have to split the tractor in the middle to get at the clutch. That's why clutch repair is so expensive. Anyway, my contractors have now attached their harvest rig to a Landini tractor, also Italian. I think it's made by Argo Tractors, but that particular tractor has a wet clutch rather than the dry clutch used by the average tractor. And it's the dry clutches that can go wrong over time. I don't know why they're not making them all with wet clutches. I do know it's more expensive to make them that way. But I guess the point of this video isn't the tractor, it's the tool attached to it. This one isn't seen very often. This is a hay rake. It's not a large tool. You can see it just fits on the linkage there, and there's a PTO shaft that's missing at the moment. But the tool here has a series of rakes, and these are metal tines basically that get dropped down. They're on sort of poles there. They get dropped down the side, and then some of them you can see where they go on this rotor thing here, which spins around at the back. Now, the idea of this tool, it's an alternative to what people call road brooming, and some farms do it as a fairly cheap way of trying to address root exposure. The best way, and by far the best way, is to add organic matter back under the root zone. But every year when you harvest, the harvester comes along and brushes nuts from the base of the tree into the middle of the row. But the side effect of that is it's not just nuts that it does that to. It can brush soil away from the root zone, leaving exposed roots, and when you have exposed roots, the tree doesn't feed as efficiently as it should from the nutrients that you give it. The roots can get sunburned, they can get hit by mowers, all sorts of stuff. And root exposure in my orchard apparently isn't bad, although I definitely don't like what I see. Here's an example. Right. You can see those exposed roots. I'm pretty sure the mowers hit it once or twice there. And, each harvesting season it gets just a tiny bit worse as the brushes brush the nuts out into the middle of the row here. Well, the idea of a road broom, or in this case a hay rake, which is what that tool was, is that it takes soil and debris from the middle of the row, and you only do this after mulching. So it takes soil and debris from the middle of the row and it puts it back under the tree root zone, and through that attempts to cover up some of, it's not a full cure, but some of the root exposure problem. So you've got not necessarily making a V in the middle, but you're just moving loose material from the middle back under the tree. There's some cynicism about it. Of course, if you move material back under the tree, it might just come back up again. It might just wash out again with the next lot of rain, and you hope it won't. But if you've got reasonably mulched material, it's not all that different to applying organic matter such as wood chip or other kinds of mulch, except for the fact that you're not paying to bring it in. This machine can operate in the wet. It can operate on damp soil. In fact, it's better on damp soil. And unlike the road broom, which is more sort of a bristle arrangement, these metal tines scarify the ground. They actually scrape the ground a bit and the debris. And one thing my contractor guy did say to me is, look, this is quite resilient in that if it comes across a rock, it just bends and snaps back. There's very little breakage of tines. So even in a rocky orchard, it can get a reasonable result without too much wear and tear. The power need for this tool is fairly low. It doesn't look like an overly expensive tool. I think it's made in Austria by the looks of that. And I would have loved to show it to you in action, but the weather, unfortunately, got in the way. And we're in that sort of situation where, despite the chooks loving it, we have contractors running around like chooks with their heads chopped off. And so I've got a spray contractor who's trying to fit between episodes of rain. We've got my other contractors trying to do the road brooming. And meanwhile, my October fertiliser is on order, and hopefully we'll get that down before any more really significant rain, because that next lot of fertiliser then goes straight into feeding the tree during the important oil accumulation phase, which is when the nuts take on a lot of oil and grow bigger up until the harvest season starts, which is in late February, early March. So there it is. It's a lovely time of year, but it's really quite a busy time of year. And we all know it's storm season. They call it storm lotto. You'll have heard that term before. It keeps life interesting. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I'm going to get back to it, and I hope you have a lovely day, whatever it is you're doing. See you soon.